My guest today, Padmini Janaki. She is the co-founder and CEO of Mind and Mom, a femtech startup which is focused on better health and fertility solutions. Prior to starting up the startup, Padmini was a product management professional. Thank you, Padmini, for joining us. Very excited to have host you today. Why don't we start with a little bit of
Thank you.
introduction?
Yes, thank you so much, Malti. I'm quite excited to be in a product space after a very long time and looking forward to the entire podcast.
Thank you so much, Padmini. I would love you to share a little bit about what you do and about your journey with Mind and Mom.
So, with Mind and Mom, we are a complete fertility ecosystem for the patients and also the doctors. We, as a vision, want to bring in transparency, trust, and a lot of communication between the doctors and the patients who are trying to start their own family.
Very nice, very interesting space. So, Padmini, just this is a very sensitive topic, right? Especially in a lot of I would say tier two cities in the rural setup. This is not a very topic which people talk openly about. So, walk me through how was this journey where you started the product discovery. Especially, you are a kind of on one side you have the clinics, the hospitals, and on the other side you have these patients. So, how did you go about defining your problem statement? How was your the product discovery phase when you started on this journey?
Sure. I think when it comes to product discovery, I think when you surrender to the complete product and complete curiosity of where exactly the problem is, and when you travel through that, you end up knowing the actual product. You end up knowing the product that you're supposed to be creating. And when that is also aligning with you, then that space really opens up and there is a market for it. There is a TAM, there is a complete set of people who are ready to buy it, pay for it. There is an appetite to pay, there is a willingness to pay, right? But then, like anybody, we also started with a very easy path of having a B2C app, and there are some meditation, there are some yoga. You can get into a subscription model and then go about it. Didn't want to touch anything very sensitive like doctors, clinical medicines, and healthcare. Wanted to be in a very safer space in 2021. But right now, one thing I've realized in the journey is the the more delicate it looks, or the more difficult it looks, that is where the problem is. Also, a lot of people, they just go away thinking that, oh, this is a very difficult space to be in, it's very hard to work with doctors, it's hard to work with tier 2 cities. Then we are not really solving the real problem out there, right? Like, we are sort of solving, or not even solving, we are good to have. I didn't want to be in a good to have space, especially when it's fertility. We wanted to be in a space where this is so important. This is like really solving the problem. So that's how our product discovery sort of started.
Okay, and how did you reach out to these women? Where did you find these women? Were they like open to talk to you about their deepest worries, about their challenges? How did that go?
So I think, as a personality, before starting Mind and Mom, if somebody shares anything border level personal stuff, I would not even listen. Like, hey, I have enough problem in my life. I don't want your story. I'm not a therapist. Like, I'm that person. Then after coming into Mind and Mom, as a person, I have changed. Looking at these women, looking at this couple, their stories, everything moved me to a space where, hey, I think I have to do something about it. So yes, of course, like you said, it was difficult, getting the initial women talk about their problems, talk about their worries, talk about their difficulties at home. All that was very difficult. But then over time, the trust was very mutual, and I was the first product manager, and I think I still stay very strong as a product manager, though I don't really attend the stand-up calls every day, but still I'm very, very particular about the kind of products and how mindful it is and all that. So yes, I think that's a trust that we gained over time. It was not on day one. People just trusted and told us everything.
Yeah, it's a evolving process, and it takes time to build those relationships. It takes time to build that trust. Yeah, it was very interesting to hear about how did you go about doing the product discovery on the patient side of spectrum. And as you said, trust is a very important aspect that needs to be factored in. So when you were doing your product discovery on the other side, right, with the doctors, with the experts, with these hospitals, and you are not a health care expert, right? So how did you, kind of broke that initial barrier when you got into the discovery mode, and make them talk and collaborate with you? Walk me through that journey.
So I think it was much more difficult than the regular customers, right? Because doctors, I don't even have to say it is a little difficult to work with doctors for very valid reason, because it is healthcare and they don't want to risk anything, and they are being very conscious of data. They're being conscious of what would happen to my patient even if one information goes wrong. I think those things from their end, I wouldn't call that as a very conservative thought, but I would see that as they are being very careful. Probably they had very bad examples in the past as well, right? So that's why you don't see many health tech companies in India, and not people, even with innovation or even with exploring, trying out, people would never pick healthcare. But there's also, when there is quite a lot of complication, there is also quite a lot of opportunities to go and capture that market. And yes, with doctors also, it was very difficult initially. When I go, they would look at me like from top to bottom, like, no, I'm not interested. They would even listen to what I'm saying. When I say, I can take the complete experience and then give them trust and transparency, they would be like, I'm practicing for 30 years and I don't give trust. Do you think I don't give trust and your technology is going to give trust? Valid question. Now I have to tell them or convey them that this is better than their actual trust without telling them this is better than their actual trust. So it is a very, very delicate position. It is a very, very sensitive topic. But then once you keep trying, once you keep meeting doctors, then you will meet one doctor who just gets that vibe and who finds there is a problem with the system and who wants to try out with you. Then that doctor would bring four, and that four will bring 40. So that's exactly how our journey happened. But initially, like even 6 7 months, we've not even cracked one single doctor. Tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, there's not one person who trusted in the system and then came on board. And even when we were like okay to give it for free, nobody was ready. But then we never gave up. I personally never ever gives up. So I was trying. I really, really believed in our product. Then when it started, when it's raining, it's always pouring. So things just started that way.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think resilience and conviction is kind of very, very core to any product manager's role, right? And you have kind of really practiced it and applied it, right? So let's get to that part, the doubling up on that part which you said. So when you started, once you have kind of got a knack of what the problem is and built the first version of your product, now the next bigger uphill task is to market it, right? So how did you go about that path? Let's probably pick up on the patient side of journey. Where did you go and find your first few hundred patients? Because I know today you are about 2 lakh women on your platform. So how did you manage to find those first few hundred, few thousand women who adopted Mind and Mom app?
So it's a very, very personal story because, as a product manager from PayPal and as a product manager from multinational companies where you've got like a lot of budgets for a GTM and, doing our R&D with the customer research and all that. And then I come to Mind and Mom where it's all shoestring budget. And till I figure out what I'm going to do, I didn't want to raise funds. I wanted to just, try things with my own budget. And now I also need like real people to tell me that if this is working, right? So I went to the temples. If you are from South India, you would know that there is always an Amman temple or even other temples where there is a tree and people tie swings for Lord Krishna, where they believe when you go tie swings, you get a baby, right? And
Mhm.
I realized in these temples, people keep on tying this, and this is my GTM, this is my TG, and I have to go find my resonance there. Then I would go to a temple, and I had a couple of my teammates also go to other temples. And when people tie it, and when people buy it from the shop itself, I go ask them, so how many years you've been trying for? And we sometimes we also tell them there is a puja. Would you like to do? And and then we tell them like you can download this app and then try to get pregnant and things like that. Initially, people were like little reluctant, but then over time, we offered them some free consultation in the around area as well, some freebies that made them download. But they are the actual customers. Like this one with zero CAC, like pretty much zero CAC, we were able to get some real customer, a few hundred customers easily. Like you go to a temple, one particular day, you usually get some 20 25. customers downloads who are actual users. Like, you get their number, you can call them and then ask if they've tried, and some of them, they got pregnant. And those are like very initial times where we understood this market, where we understood the exact problem people were facing, and those were definitely a very beautiful phase of my mom.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Padmini, because it's a very, I would say, unique way of approaching. Exactly, go and find your customers where you most likely you are them to find. In your case, probably praying for that child and kind of hitting, kind of catching them there, right? So that's a very resonating one. And did you do some very similar out of the box ideas, even for getting your first set of clinics and doctors as well?
So clinics and doctors, I would probably share this with you. I've not shared this with anybody. Like, I don't want to tell you where exactly this place is, but then there is one sort of an ashram, and where it's like all premium people would come, right? And I heard many doctors also would come. For me, it was not about gynecologists are like the major targets. Even if I get like really famous doctors, I think through them I can sort of get the actual doctors. So I would go by. They have one Shivaratri puja, and then there's a particular chamber where if you have to sit, it's like a 50,000 rupees ticket. At that point in time, it was 50,000. Now I heard it's like 3 lakh or something, like 50,000 rupees ticket. And then I took that 50,000 rupees ticket, and then I went to Shivaratri, keeping aside my belief system and all that. I did actually meet a lot of angel investors. I met some really big shots who are connected to the amazing doctors in the city. And, that sort of connected me to a lot of people, means and makes a lot of sense today. So that was my initial 50,000 investment in getting these people, because from the family I come from, my family is not connected to affluent people like that. And I worked at PayPal, and these are very simple, normal, nice people. Who would not connect me to really, really, this bigs. So for that, I had to use this approach, and it really, really worked.
Oh wow, that's a very I would say unique idea and a different place to find out. But yeah, I mean, very interesting. Thank you, Padmini, for sharing that. And how did how did you continue to go on that journey of your GTM, right? On this side, right? You kind of found these initial set of investors, or your initial set of, I would say, innovators who were kind of willing to take that chance with you, and who kind of took. So how has that I would say relationship, how has that evolved in your journey of Mind and Mom?
See, I think it was definitely a journey. And of course, initially, I have done some really jugaad method to get the first 5, 10, or 100 people. But after a point in time, I had to get very serious about what I'm doing. So that's the only way to sustain and grow scalable, right? So then I started focusing. Okay, I got like 5, 10 people to validate and tell me, okay, this is going to work, this is not going to work. After a point, you got to really build a product that is working to really attract people who come not just for me or my jugaad method, but actually for the product. So over time, with that 5 people, I put all my effort to understand what it is and build it to 15 and build it to 20, because I was not in a hurry at all. Though people around me were like telling me in 1 year the startup should do this, 2 years startup should do this. I was never been in a hurry that, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, and I have to finish it. I was quite slow in the first couple of years. I was not aggressively marketing, I was not aggressively hiring, I was not aggressively spending money or raising funds, because I was more of figuring out if there is a market in first place. Only after that was done, only after I got paying customers, that is when I sort of scaled it in any levels. Then the speed started, then the scalability started. Now we are in the third year, and then now I'm able to feel that heat of, okay, and now we are in 20 clinics. How are we going to grow to 200 clinics end of this year? I find the natural and organic growth of revenue, of profit, of people is very, very, very sustainable. Even with my investors, whoever is like, very on so Gen Z that, I'm going to put some 1 million right now. Will I get 10 million next year? I would say we are not that company. We are not that company, because we are a healthcare company. If you ask me, will you make money? Yes, you will make very good money. With a lot of security, you can make money. much lesser risk because it is a revenue making company, it is a making company. I can assure you that, but I cannot assure you that you can make 100x 1000x, all that, because we are a very different kind of a company. We don't want to follow what the society calls as the hyper speed startup. We are not that, and I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah. No, I think making sure that you give the relevance and importance to the right thing, which is basically zeroing down on your TG, building your product according to your ICP, and in your case it's a two-sided platform. So it is not only doing it horizontally but also building a product which is kind of 1 mile deep and understanding your customers problem really really well. So a lot of those things, the pre PMF journey that you spoke about, there has to be time that has to be given, there has to be a lot of patience, it has to be nurtured, and that is when you hit your PMF, you can sustain it and scale and grow accordingly. So
Okay.
that was very insightful. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
probably at this stage, right? I mean, I want to kind of switch to the other side of your platform, which is the patience part of it. Now, I would like to understand these women who come in here, right? They are basically looking to expand their family, have get conceived. So how do they? And of course, in the early conversation, you spoke about that a lot of this about is building the trust, right? Understanding how the platform is offering value to me, and should I stay here versus should I directly go to a fertility clinic or to my gynecologist. So as a product, as you kind of spoke about focusing a lot on building those tenets into the product, can you just walk me through that as a patient? How do I see those values, and how do I continue to derive value out of the product?
See, the thing is, like,
Go for it.
yes. So I think what we wanted to create is a very healthy ecosystem for couples, especially women, to have a very informed decision when it comes to fertility, right? When I say we are bringing transparency and trust, we are not pushing them into IVF treatment. We are not pushing them into any hormonal injection. We are telling them on the table that, hey, these are the options available. Which one would you choose? We are giving them the choice, and they are choosing, okay, you know what, I would do something like this. Like, for example, I will tell you where, if a woman is having an issue with fertility, in general, when they go to a gynecologist, they would say go for an IUI treatment, right? That's like a very gynecological approach of taking it, right? But
Okay.
there are also approaches an intervention radiologist can solve, like the fibroids, there is a problem on the tube. Like, it can be a procedure of 1 hour and this woman can get pregnant. But they would take a very different, because intervention radiology is not very common, it's not like available in every hospital. You would have it in very very few hospitals because these are like a microsurgery. But now when I'm not aware about it, I would go for an IVF treatment, thinking I can't get pregnant naturally. This is a very clinical thing, but then where is the awareness here? So when a woman comes into Mind and Mom's application, when they download it, they see every option when it comes to food, when it comes to lifestyle changes, when it comes to taking yoga, and after 30, 40 days, even after you're doing this, you're not getting pregnant, you have irregular periods. How do you solve it naturally when naturally is not working? Then how do I go to a doctor who's close to me and assess what is in for me? Like, am I supposed to take some medicines and solve this, or do I have a problem in the tube, or is my husband who is having the problem? So these analysis are done, and then they go for the right treatment. And even during the treatment, they get the information: how many eggs are taken from me, how many are used, are they healthy eggs? So many information that I need to know about me. Now I understand. Then I choose. Okay, you know what? I will do it this way. Egg donors are there, sperm donors are there. Can I go for it, or can I go for surrogacy? All these are like right in front of the women. Like, when I keep saying women, people think, hey, men are also affected by infertility issues. Why are you addressing only women? But to me, or to us, women taking the choice is so important. Yes, of course, she can include her partner in the choice. That's her choice again. But then we will solve the problem of women in first place. And men, of course, they have a flow, they have an approach, they have activities inside the app that they choose to do. But we focus on women mostly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think a very important point that you spoke about is the awareness in terms of what are the different options possible, and start probably from the simplest most, which could probably help you solve the problem without any clinical interventions, and then moving on to the subsequent stuff, and you making that choice as to how, what is the approach that you want to take. Oh, that is very, very, that is very insightful. In this journey, right? I mean, as you said that there are already some, I think 20, 40 clinics which are already working with you. How does that partnerships evolve, right? Especially in terms of your positioning with them. What are some of the key, messages or value position proposition that you kind of position to them to come on board, right? I think the GTM part of it, because B2B is always the most difficult one to crack. So how you did speak about your resilience in terms of approaching them, but now as you are kind of scaling up, how are you fostering it?
See, the thing that we promise to the doctors is when you have a clinic, I will help you make it as a smart clinic. We right now we are entering into the South Korean market as well, like where the doctors are very very different. The fertility issue is completely different this year. So I think each one is very different, but then the purpose wise, everybody aligns irrespective of which country they come from, irrespective of which if they, even the doctors come from tier 2 tier 3 cities. All they want is they want their patients to get pregnant and do this treatment, and of course have this word of mouth spread and all that, right? Like end of the day, end goal is pretty much the same for all of us. Now we sell the problem saying, these are the issues you have, and if the doctor says that, you know what, I don't have these issues, I'm like already filled with patients, I'm already doing it well, I'm already giving that kind of a trust and transparency, patients trust us, we still tell them try our system, but when they are so reluctant, we don't force them. But when we do it for other clinics, they will always come back. So we have understood what exactly is their problem, and we cater a complete technology. It's like a bunch of micro SaaS put together to make it a complete smart clinic. If you're a small clinic here with 1,000 square feet footage somewhere, and trying to get patients, but patients wouldn't trust you because you're completely new, and you're a new practice. How do I position that doctor as a superstar? Get her the patients, make sure the patients are also happy, and make sure this doctor is also making money. At the same time, the patients are also not paying a lot. I think our focus is more on the mid-size to smaller size clinics, where the whole system can be done for a much cheaper price. And then we approach it in a way, we actually solve the problem from a very dear to roots, right? Like why somebody is charging a lot, why somebody needs to charge a lot, because they take for a complete fertility center to be put, it's going to charge them some 2 to 3 crores. They have to take that money out, and then they've also studied, and that money needs to come out as well. So they put the 3 lakhs 4 lakhs on the patient, and the patient is finding it very difficult. So how do you reduce that cost? How can I make this doctor practice in a bigger place, where, like, for example, there is a medical college and hospital. You know how medical college and hospitals would work. They have a lot of place. They work on a subsidiary, they work on a governmental subsidiary and all that. If we're going to go ask them, can I have a 5,000 square feet and I will share revenue, they'll be more than happy to give you that place. How can I set up that place for this particular doctor and then reduce the whole cost, and reduce the whole cost from 3 lakh to 1 lakh? Now it becomes more efficient, and then give them the complete technology support, give them the complete support that particular doctor will need, empower her, and the magic begins. And the patients are always getting benefit out of it, and never complaining, and the success rate is much higher, it's happening much faster. So that's where we found our magic in.
Wow. Okay, very, very well. I mean, it's basically the, rooting onto the problem on either side of the platform, and value creation, right? So that there is a benefit not only in terms of solving the problems, but also value creation in terms of making it not so expensive for
Correct.
the woman on one side, and as well as getting new patients for the hospital on the other side, right? So yeah, I think that's really amazing. In fact, if you remember the other day when we were talking, I was sharing that in FM, I keep hearing one ad where this lady says that, every time I go to the fertility clinic, they all seem to be saying that, this will cost this much, this will cost this much. But nobody talks about the problem for which I go, which is, and my customer benefit is that we give you that child, right? We help you to get that child. So I think
Yes.
connecting the customer benefit to the problem statement that they have is a very, very important
Because
messaging
it's very
aspect.
sensitive. Like, I don't have a baby for so many years. Now I'm not like looking for who's doing for 40,000, who is doing for six. I'm not doing window shopping, right? Like, I'm in a very vulnerable stage. At the same time, don't take a lot of money out of me. So that's
Right.
what we want to be, the patient's advocate. though we are part of doctors as well, we want to be that patient's advocate. You know what, you don't have to do IVF. You do a small microsurgery and you're going to get pregnant. So this way we are able to build that trust, and then that one particular patient is going and referring some 4 5 people. It's very organic. We're not spending a lot on marketing, still get a lot of patients. So that's how it should be working, especially this market, I strongly believe.
Absolutely. It's the make the product so good. And in your case, it is not only your digital product, but the entire ecosystem, the both the
The
sides of the
experience
platform
are USP. I think anybody can
experience.
create SaaS products. I think we've got like enough engineers, computer engineers. We've got enough agencies, tech agencies. We are like a birthplace of tech and SaaS. I think anybody can literally create micro SaaS and SaaS product, but that's not our USP. I will never say tech is our USP, though we are a core tech company. The experience that we try to bring is our
Correct.
USP.
Very, very well said. Yes, ultimately it is the customer experience, and I think, as you said, it kind of leads to very organic referrals and growth that way. Yeah. Thank you so much, Padmini, for sharing that. And I think one last question that I would have is that what would be, you have been a product management professional for a very long time, and then now you are very, very passionately running and scaling Mind and More. What would be one teachable point of view that you would like to leave with product builders and entrepreneurs?
So I think I spoke about it, but still I would like to talk about this, right? I think as entrepreneurs, we have to really pick problems that's not solved enough. As we do see, like 4 or 5 years back, everybody was coming up with some payment app, something to do with payment, because that's a trend. That's where a lot of funding is happening. That's where a lot of things are happening. Then a lot of D2C started, and something on the FMCG and food and things like that. I think we should forget what's really working as a trend right now, because that also comes and that also goes. I think we should look at people, look at customers, look at the market, and there are really unaddressed markets that we need to pick and bring that trend, and make people, hey, I think this is a very good trend to follow, that we build things for, right? Because no matter how many ever people start a fertility tech company, there is a market in India, there is a market globally. And if somebody says, hey, why are you sharing about this tech and all that to everybody, what if they build? I want more people to build it, because it's that's when you create a market, that's when there is an awareness, that's when this market also grows. I want people to do it. So for a very aspiring entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs, what I would suggest is pick an industry, pick a market where there are not many players, where there are not many takers. Then show your supremacy, show your skills, understand that, go deep, don't take yourself so serious, go talk to vendors, people out there sitting there. Then you kind of get a lot of knowledge that nobody can steal it from you.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. And we as a country are like so big. And I'm sure there are so
Yes.
many areas and avenues where there is, amazing amount of opportunity where tech can be put to good use to solve those
Trust
problems.
me, Malati, because initially I used to go to our place and bus, and it used to be crowded. Then a little bit of money came, and then I thought, okay, I'll probably take a flight. And then when I took flight, it was still crowded. And then a little bit of things changed, and then I started taking business class. Still, there was a crowd. So what I understand is there is a market for everything. You want to go in bus, you want to go in train, you want to take a flight or a business class. Everywhere there is a market, there is a niche to go address.
Correct.
So I think people can definitely try anything in India.
Correct, correct. And you're right. I mean, whether you want to go niche or whether you're going to go for a mass market, building your product for there, I think what you need is persistence, resilience, and sharp focus in order to succeed. Yes.
Thank you so much, Malvi.
No, this was a very, very, very interesting and insightful conversation. Thank you, Padmini, for taking the time out.
Thank you, Malvi. Hope to talk to you again very soon, and see you.
Absolutely. Thanks.